That's a really deep question. I think love is just commitment. Like, you have to be committed to each other. There's going to be good times, there's going to be bad, but you have to be willing to work it out with each other and to listen to what the other one has to say and be willing to adapt your own viewpoints to fit with your partners so that you can create one cohesive unit rather than two.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, and probably a little bit of just giving up a little bit of who you are as yourself and maybe some of your goals to make it more of a cohesive goal for your family.
Yeah. Create something new out of two. I had to give up my career to follow him. He was transferred to Hong Kong, so I quit my job and followed him, and that was probably the best decision ever. I was an accountant, so it was really hard to let go and not be type A and worry about paychecks and things like that, and just give that up and go. And then we came back and we had kids, and I decided to stay home with them, so I gave up my career as a tax accountant.
Sometimes passing up job opportunities for the sake of your family.
Yeah, it might not be a good spot to raise a family, or you might not want to have children there. Or your spouse might not want to move there.
You got some good ass questions, man. I'm not gonna lie. These are some really good questions. I think that everyone has their own unique idea of love. I think it took me a long time really to feel like true love and true gratitude and true acceptance. Like, maybe when I was younger, like, those were just words, and they meant, I knew like the definition of those words, but I feel like certain experiences in your life will kind of, you're like, oh wow, like that's like you feel like true gratitude for something for the first time, or you feel true love for something for the first time. And like, I had, like a high school sweetheart, and that's a type of love for me. But then I have, love for family, and that's it's a very broad spectrum. I think love, it doesn't have to be unconditional, but I think it is kind of unconditional. Like, it is for me at least, like a non-judging, almost like, okay, if you go out into the woods or whatever, and you look at a tree, like a certain type of tree, you're like, oh, that's a beautiful tree. You're not like judging different things about the tree, right? And you look at a different type of tree, like, oh, and then you come here into the city, and then like you look at people, you're like, oh, if only she did that, or if only he was like this, and then you're like judging all, so it's, for me, it's like almost the same as if I would look at a tree or any kind of other thing in nature. It's like just an unconditional love. It's a very deep question, but
oh man, what is love? There's no greater love than a friend laying his life down for a friend. The definition of love, it varies from person to person. I guess the universal definition of it is that it's patient. It's not biased. It doesn't hurt. It's trustworthy. It's humble. To me, individually, the greatest love to me, I don't think you could surpass the love between a father and his son. When you see that, and you're into that, it's like the outside world around you doesn't exist. It's just you and your son.
Baby, you don't hurt me. How many times have you gotten that today? And see, the funny thing is, I don't think it's unusual that the answer doesn't come immediately, especially for me, since I've been in a relationship for almost 3 years now, which you might think like that might instantly like, oh, this is that. But I think ultimately it's wanting to share your life with one or more, no judgment, people. I think that's the healthiest way to go about it. Just wanting to express that who you are and what you do and what you like, you'd want, and even what you don't like and everything, pros and cons, you'd want to share all of that and have it just be another Tuesday.
Love, oh God, that's a broad thing. It can be a wide range of things. I think love is something that you feel in your heart. It can be for an individual or for a thing or things. Just something that fulfills you inside, internally, as far as your mind and your heart, because love can be, I guess, described in many ways, but to me it's total fulfillment, total happiness and bliss with a person or things, but to me it would be for a person, that brings you total fulfillment and contentment within yourself, and allows you to be the person that you are and accepts you for who you are and what you are. I hadn't had it until about just the past 2 years. So it's my girlfriend. So I've been able to get that before I do expire. So that's a nice thing.
Oh yeah, that's tough. Certainly the many different definitions, and there's different kinds of love. But I think at least one thing that comes to mind is, say, in a partnership, in a relationship such as a marriage, you make a promise to each other from the moment you decide to get engaged up to the actual marriage part. But part of the love comes from the idea that you will stick with each other as long as you can, as long as you will live, and that's based on all sorts of hardships, and it will be through good moments and bad moments, and accepting each other with all the positive things about you and also all the negative ones. With me, there's certainly many, and my wife has always been supportive, and she's always been accepting, and she challenges me, and I think that's part of it too, right? Not being complacent with how you are, pushing others to become better versions of themselves.
Yeah, I have a less romantic view of love right now. I just got out of a relationship, so right now a lot of the love in my life that I've been experiencing is like support from like family and friends while I'm like getting through it. So I feel right now love for me has been a lot of just like being there for the people around you and like feeling people, even just like the random like text after a week, like, hey, how are you doing? Like, it means a lot for someone to be thinking about you and like how you're doing. So I feel like a lot of the love, at least the way I see love right now, is through like support and honestly time. I feel like you can buy people things and stuff like that's always easy, but like at the end of the day, time is always limited. So like people who give you time, like they're the ones who actually are gonna show up for you when it matters.
I think it's caring for someone's needs almost as much as you care about your own needs. It's like making sure that their dinner is made and that they have a clean house and that they felt loved in the way they feel love. So whether it's giving them gifts or making sure that you hold their hand when you walk out of the door, or you kiss them before you leave, or you send them a note saying, hey, I love you. And that's how it's giving them love, how they receive love. I think it feels just as good as receiving it, in my opinion. I think making my husband feel loved makes me feel loved.
A decision. Love is a decision. It's not a feeling. It may initially be a feeling, like you may initially feel something for someone, but once you make that decision to either form a life, a marriage, children, a family, or whatever, feelings don't always enter into it anymore because you've made a commitment. So it's a decision day after year to stick through it when things get hard, because you made a commitment, because you have children who depend on you, whose life will be better if you stay together. And what we're finding now is we're on the other side of that. He's our youngest, he's in college, and now we're reaping all of that. We stayed together through the hard stuff, and now we have a lot of fun together. We're off on our own, we're traveling, and it's like if we had not made that decision over and over and over again when we didn't want to, we wouldn't be here. And our kids wouldn't have the life they have either, so.
Like you said, I think it boils down to taking that emotional feeling and remembering it during those hard times and saying, love is, I love this person, everything about them, and then I'm committed to making that love last, so I think it's more than just that emotional initial feeling that you have, that it is a decision, and that's what drives love, I think.
Yeah, no, I think so many people miss that, and they just want that feeling. And we've been together 20, I don't know, we don't ever keep track, 22, 24 years.
21, so 22.
And you don't feel it all for 22 years. That's just not realistic. But you just decide we're going to get through whatever it is, and then again, and then like I said, now we have a great time. We don't want them to come around. No kidding.
You have to keep choosing, over and-
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. Yep.